of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning, everybody. Call the meeting to order. We need to add claims on there after the minutes.
I'll make a motion to amend the agenda with claims added.
I'll second.
Is there anything else need to go on?
Here.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Approve the minutes of September 16th.
Minutes look good. I'll make that a motion.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Claims.
I read through the claims. They all look pretty much in order. We had drainage of $2,945.45. General claims of $171,708.50.
Second.
What I got? Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. General public concern. Anybody here wish to speak?
Some on this board and the conservation board, just on the marsh.
Just a minute. Is this on the conservation on the dam?
Yeah,
I think we'll be talking about that down here at 9:30. So if you can hold off till then, I appreciate it. Any other general public?
Morning,
Morning.
Mr. Chair, County Auditor, and Rick and Sandy and Bruce. I'm Merlin Bartz. I do county outreach for Invenergy, wind energy company out of Chicago.
What was the name?
First name Bruce Merlin, last name Bartz. The company is Invenergy. Yep. Yep. Some of you, Rick and I met at a landowners meeting a couple months back that we had in regard to our farm here. Sandy, the last time I was down for a board meeting, I believe you might have been on Zoom that day.
Possibly.
And Bruce, we've met before, and I can't remember whether it was ISAC or when I was in the state legislature, but it's been a while back. But just wanted to give a card to each one of you. Our project manager here is Angelina, which some of you have also met. I work in conjunction with the project managers in county outreach, economic development, superintendents of schools, county supervisors. My wife and I farm up in Worth County. And,
One more for
yep,
Eric.
Yep, I'll leave one for him. There you go. And before that, I've also served, as I said, in the state legislature, county supervisor in Worth County, and also was Congressman King's district director for a short period of time in 2014, 2015. So if you've ever got an issue, something comes up, a question, if you don't think you're getting a response from the project manager, certainly feel free to give me a call. That's my cell phone number and email address. And as many of you know, some of the public know, we are working on a project that's in the Webster Hamilton right and someone into Humboldt County area. And so I've spent most of my time the last year and a half with Invenergy in Adams and Floyd and Dickinson County, but we're finishing up Adams right now. My work there, Floyd is just about done. They're at third reading of an ordinance. And so I'll be spending a lot more of my time in this particular project and also a project that we have in Marshall County. So look forward to visiting with you at any time. And if you have any questions, just like I said, feel free to give me a call or drop me an email. I'm better at phone calls and texts because I farm. A lot of times I won't look at email for 2 or 3 days, but certainly the cell phone is always on 24 hours. So thank you very much. Go ahead, Bruce.
Just, I'm
Sir.
curious, I mean, this is what, the second group that
No,
you're with the group, the
yeah,
other groups?
yeah, he's with the last group.
Yeah,
there.
So,
Yep, Angelina, I think came into one of your board meetings a little while ago.
all
Like,
right,
I technically work for her.
all right, so my question is, how many of these things are they wanting to put? Are they gonna put them wall to wall in every county? I mean, it seems like,
I think, the truthful answer is no. The more in-depth answer is wind energy is best utilized where the resource is. And frankly, if you look at a Department of Energy map, particularly in Iowa, the best wind resources are basically start in New Albany in the far northeast corner and go to Hamburg in the far southwest corner and everything that is northwest of that line. So the propensity of possible locations in north central Iowa is relatively high. I mean, Worth County, we have I think we're right at 305 or 306 turbines in the county. Some counties, have said, that's enough. Other counties have said, we'd like some more. So, that's a question that you folks will have to be, dealing with here in Humboldt County, just as other counties have dealt with it.
I got a
Does that
question.
answer your question, Bruce?
Yeah.
Being just mentioned, I got a question for you. You said some counties have said that's enough,
Mhm.
but counties can't say, no, we don't want any. So how can you say that's enough?
Sure. So
Who set that limit?
Sure. In Iowa, as you know, counties basically at this particular point have the ability through ordinance and through Board of Adjustment to determine what your standards are for where turbines should be located. And those vary from county to county. That has been a local control, a local issue. So it's different than the livestock industry, which, in the nineties and then 2002, the state set the matrix, set the statewide standard. So, I'm sorry, I do not know what your actual count is in Humboldt County. I apologize.
Zero
It's
right
zero
now.
right now? Okay. So for instance, in Floyd County, I think they have 60 in a Mid-America farm. And they're discussing whether we should be allowed under county ordinance to place any more in Floyd County. Adams County, just last Monday, when I was down to their meeting, they actually put a cap in place. But they put a cap in place that is above their 121 that they have right now. So they basically determined through county ordinance that they're okay with some additional growth, but they did set a cap.
I know, Cassuth County is having,
Because there are about 20 counties that have moratoriums right now or almost complete restrictions at this particular point. And I can say this candidly as a state legislator, having been in some of these counties and worked with the boards and the planning and zoning commissions and things, that this is starting to remind me of what I call the livestock wars of the 1990s.
Mhm.
So some counties are just saying, go away, we don't want you here. Other counties are saying, yes, we're here. And in all honesty, whether it turns out the same way the livestock wars did in the 1990s, at some point, as you know, that was local control too at that point, and eventually the state legislature stepped in and said, here's the statewide standard. And in reality, I think last year there actually was a bill introduced in the Iowa legislature to determine to set a statewide standard. So we're kind of in that unknown territory right now. You as the board basically have that jurisdiction right now. So,
no, technically, no. We have no jurisdiction over windmills, other than the setbacks, which we can't make. We're
setbacks,
limited
correct,
as to what our setbacks are,
correct.
so we have no control. So that's a lie also. It is.
You have the ability through planning and zoning and through your board of adjustment. You appoint the board of
Yeah,
adjustment and the planning and zoning.
which they have no authority to set the setbacks at 3,000 feet.
3,000 feet would basically be a prohibition.
Yeah.
So
So-
you could hypothetically do that.
But you hypothetically can't do it because they will sue you and
Yeah.
you lose.
Then
Because
you'll
it's
then you'll
been,
be in the courts and it ends up costing money
Yeah.
again.
Sure.
so I just
Did that
want, I
answer-
just wanna make the record
No,
clear
no,
that we
that's-
don't have the
Yeah.
authority that you say we do, we don't.
Okay.
So, all right.
Several
that's
counties
fine.
have been sued.
Any other questions?
No,
Now,
thank you.
that was my only question, how we can have a cap, but we can't say we don't want them. I mean, that was, you just said some counties are capping it.
Adams County just last Monday passed the
So-
cap. Yes. We can get you a copy of
Yeah,
that ordinance if
one.
you'd like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
all right, that was just a question I
No.
had.
Thank you.
All right,
Thanks.
Any more questions?
nope.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Mr. Chair.
All right, moving on, Ben.
Morning.
The one official item for the agenda for today, that is to award the contract for the Thor box culvert replacement.
Were your eyes a lot better on the last week?
Yeah, I look good on the computer.
Wow,
It's a little,
you help us, we might be able to read those numbers.
Yeah, we'll probably could put everything on one sheet at that point.
so, PCI's price was $146,548. 146,548. Estimate for the project varied back and forth. My final one that I submitted to the DOT was $138,315. I think the original request to the group through Midas was for 125,000 or 130,000, and we went back for an additional 40 because of inflation and the cost of what the box culverts have been doing lately. And over the course of the last year, we've seen a downtick in the cost of those replacement projects. I think contractors are just hungry for work. But PCI is a very reputable company. We've dealt with them on several projects.
Good. A good assortment of bids.
Yeah,
Mhm.
so it isn't like we can have a good.
That's gonna be a single 8x8.
That'll be a single 8x8 box culvert. We've got an 8x8 further upstream underneath the highway. We've got a 9x9 downstream on 245th Street. And we've got contract with Rognus Brothers for the one on Virginia, just immediately downstream. So.
Okay,
And this is next spring,
Yes,
will they try and that's late fall or late winter?
that would, my guess is they would be spring. I haven't talked to Nick or any of the other people, but late start date is next September, so they've got flexibility to put it in wherever they want,
Spring through fall.
basically.
does this include the or the asphalt patch?
Yes,
Okay. All right.
50 out filled in and now you gotta tear it up.
well, no, this is on the seal coat east of
Oh,
town
okay, on the
by
east side. Okay.
by
I was
the
saying, I thought you'd done
lagoons.
one on the highway.
Yes, that one's been done.
Well, if everything's in order, I'll make a motion to accept PCI's bid of, I think, 146,548.
Yep.
I'll second that.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
We have 10 Point Construction here doing some patching. We are closing the curve just west of Hardy. We're gonna reroute traffic just on that little gravel triangle on States and, was that 170th? It's just that little triangle piece right there in the curve, so we've got maybe 10 patches in that curve where the concrete has pulled away from the asphalt underneath it. So when you hit it with a hammer, it sounds hollow. We've also got one patch on the Thor blacktop west of Thor by Gary Nelson's house, which would be between States and Texas. And two small patches about a quarter mile west of States on that same road, so.
So I drive that road a lot.
Mhm.
I've never noticed it.
The
By Gary Nelson's.
by Gary Nelson's, so it's right at the crest of the crest of the hill, just east of Gary's. You can feel it when you're driving, it's very subtle. It's to the point where you felt a bit of a bump, and when you get out and start rapping on it with a hammer, it'll sound hollow, but if you slow down there, like you can see the blowout.
Oh,
We just didn't have a bad enough or hot enough summer to actually experience the full blowout like we've seen
oh, I
in,
see.
like by your
Right-
house,
Right in front of my house.
right in front of your house, yeah.
Mhm. Okay, all right, I was just kind of curious.
Yeah, so it's pushed up, it's cracked, there's a pop out right there. And if you sound the panels around it, I think we're replacing eight panels in that one patch. So,
Good work.
but they're doing that,
Before they blow
yes, yep, that's the plan.
out. Mhm.
They're busy moving in, doing that. We should have patching done tomorrow, I believe. Plan is saw out, cut out today. Replace half of it today and then the other half tomorrow. And then we're also starting regrading down on 270th, just off of 169. So we're doing that with local forces.
Okay.
Anything else for me?
Thanks, anybody got anything else for Ben?
Nope.
Good,
Thank you.
thank you, Ben. Okay, everybody's been yelling about getting a comprehensive plan and all that going. The Midas is here, Stacy, Shirley. Explain what's going on, what it is.
Good morning.
I will go ahead and start and Shirley can hop in if she wants to at some point. So for the comprehensive plan, I'll grab that contract because we have several going on with the county. So with that, we have held the meetings needed to develop the comp plan. I had been, working with Randy on getting that developed. There is a delay because the comp plan was starting in August of 22. And in that contract, we said it could take, 14 months to get it completed. However, when we developed that contract, we didn't realize that Randy goes south for the winter. And so that delayed holding some of the committee members or committee meetings. And then also quite a few members on there were farmers. So we also ran into some issues with, planting and harvesting, getting meetings held during then. But it is under development. Can send draft chapters to Trish is what Dave Lee told me to do as they're completed. But also the delay was, I was directed by the EMA and then Cole Bockelman, who you appointed to the Midas board, that the hazard mitigation plan was the priority over the comp plan. And so that we shifted gears to prioritize getting that completed and to you guys to adopt. And now that that's been done, we shifted gears back to focusing on the comprehensive plan.
Okay. So, general idea how long we're looking to finish?
Excuse me.
I am gone at a couple conferences, so definitely before the end of the year. That would be the latest to have the final draft to you.
So does that mean there's a preliminary draft that we can review and,
Yes, if that's how you want.
I don't know, I'm asking.
What?
Is that how you usually do it?
Yes, so, when I spoke with Randy, he wanted himself in the committee to review it. And then provide us any comments, and then it would come to the Board of Supervisors for final review and approval.
So normally when we develop the comp plan, the zoning commission would be the ones that would look at it. We'll say, chapter by chapter as they do it. And then they'll look at it as a complete one, because you'll find that as you do chapter by chapter, as you're getting something done, they'll look at something and say it needs to be changed, this needs to be changed, that needs to be changed. And then you give them a final draft to look at. And then they will either change some things or say, yeah, this is what we want. Then they will hold a public hearing on that draft when it's where they want. And which is why we also encourage a supervisor to be on that development committee. And then after that public hearing, we usually send it to you maybe a month before you guys hold a public hearing. Because there has to be a second public hearing before you can adopt it or send it back. We will say that, we have had, staff turnover. And we keep fighting for staff turnover. We've upped our wages and stuff, that it is. You know, trying to find people to come here is not easy. So we are trying to, we're actually short one person with, one of our planners passed away in July. And so we're putting off hiring till December because that's when they have a new set of graduates coming out. And that's our better chance to get, sorry, I'm very dry, and this is why she's gonna want to speak. And that's when we'll try applying again. Because normally we can get, thank you, normally we can get, we have a better chance because there's a lot of people fighting for the same people. So we get a better chance when there's graduation than we do.
Yeah, and I will say, this project was a little unique in that the planner that was primarily doing it left. And so I signed it to another planner. Well, then she went on maternity leave a few months after. And so that's kind of why the holdup as well, is that normally we don't have a lot of planners going on maternity leave, right?
Well, we usually don't have back
After
to
the
back
other
to
ones
back.
quitting, yeah.
Ever since COVID, it's been a fight, so.
And then the other contract I wanted to talk about was the zoning map. Because that, Randy and I worked closely together on that, and he came to my office several times to look at the map, and he was okay with it. And I understand you guys had some concerns, but I wasn't aware of what those concerns are, because otherwise that's ready for you guys to go ahead and adopt.
And the zoning map, we were contracted to make it off of your existing paper map.
Cause it was so hard to read, so we're
Which is,
updating it to make it easier.
Unique. I mean, Steve did it in 97, I think. Back when we had the old days where we did it with a map and tape. And where the original one is now, I have no clue, but.
And
was printed on top, maybe.
Yeah.
probably.
What? And they were maps, back then, we didn't have the parcel maps either,
Right.
so.
And so with that one, it's been ready to go for a while, but I know speaking with Randy, you guys wanted to make it a little bit more interactive with being able to turn features on and off. And that's what I've been struggling with our new software of how to get that done.
And Ezra.
So, yeah, I spoke to Ben, and I think I'm gonna reach out to Schneider, cause I have contact there, and see if I just send it to him, if he's able to get that uploaded through Beacon, if that's an option that you guys want, rather than having something separate on your website.
That'd be awesome.
The clickable area would be.
Yeah.
Really helpful.
Right.
For us on Beacon. We've already got our drainage districts and drainage tile on it.
My question is the exceptions that have been granted, should they be identified on there also?
Okay. I don't like being the zoning guru, but I will be.
I'm trying to learn.
So exceptions aren't put on the map because you should have them in paper. They're exceptions.
Right.
They're not, and there could be for limited time. They could be until that use or is over. So you don't usually put them. They're exceptions to what's on that map. They're not,
So you don't actually physically shouldn't put them on the map.
No.
Cause they're not rezoned.
because
When I talked to Stu, he thought that it should be identifiable,
now,
but then we would have to go back through all of the minutes and find the different meetings and be able to.
I would maybe list them. Maybe you could have the map and then you could have, we could go back through all the minutes and say, here's all the acceptance we granted to this map.
So have kind of a legend of the.
Exception.
Exceptions.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep.
Because your exceptions, depending on how you granted them. If they were granted for, forever, as long as it's there, just granted, if they ever stop it, it's stopping, I don't know. So it
That's a good
depends.
question, because I don't know if we've had a determination, if it it's perpetual and goes forever, or if it's just to the life use of
Wouldn't that
that.
be in the
Yeah.
minutes though, or
So-
on the?
I don't know. if it's-
Usually exceptions aren't forever, they're, because that's why they're called exceptions. If they are granted forever, you should be a map change. Different amendment, an exception saying, hey, it's for you on this property for,
The life of the business or whatever.
yes. Or
Until.
if you don't get it started within a year, then exception's taken away, that all depends.
Yeah, and I did note some corrections. There's a commercial one, I believe, out in Grove Township that, I don't know, if it's on the wrong parcel regardless, but it's just a question that I have, and, since we've been without a zoning administrator, I hate to do that.
I could volunteer someone, but.
Oh,
I think he's already been volunteered.
Into it, but it's.
Well, at least for the, I was meaning, I'll even step back, I was meaning for the map purpose.
Oh, I can help.
I mean, for looking at it and the map purpose, yeah, why we're,
That hat to wear.
I'm not volunteering for anything else. He's got my back.
A variance on is another layer. So we can see on the map what's been granted a variance.
Maybe just have a separate.
So are you guys wanting to do that with this, or when you do your full zoning update after the comprehensive plan's adopted?
Cause then you're gonna do,
Cause this here was, for $300, and it was just to make your paper map more readable and easier to
Right.
use.
because it's really hard. When you do your other one, all of those that are permanent, hopefully will be put in whenever you do a new map, your new, cause you're gonna do a new existing one, a new future, and then you're gonna do your current zoning you want based on your future.
So basically, we're getting, and obviously at $300, it's the entry level.
Well, it's just cause
So then
Because
we'll
it-
expand upon
they're
it,
so hassled to try to say, where does this stop? Where does this start?
right?
And at that point, it was to do a map that you guys can adopt until you could get a new one done. So it was supposed to, because you remember your old comp plan, which is still in effect, that's what this came from. So if you do any new changes, you gotta go back to that old comp plan and make sure they fit.
Mm,
So,
Until we
and I
have,
thank you for this, cause
until we have a new comprehensive plan.
so your new comp plan is gonna show you what's going on now in your county, an existing land use map. Then it's gonna show you a future land use plan map that where you want to go to based on what the comp meetings are. Then when you do your zoning ordinance, you're gonna say, okay, here's what we want for zoning. Do we wanna go all the way to the future, partway there from where we're at now to this? Where do we wanna be at this point with that future? So,
Okay. A little clearer than it used to be.
well, zoning's not clear.
I said a little clearer.
Yeah, so zoning, I work with people and they want everything spelled out, but you don't realize as you guys are dealing with now, what might come up. You can't, we have right now, and every attorney is different. And so we have so zoning had always been, I've been doing this for 30-some years. What is in your zoning plan is what you're allowing. Now one county attorney's thinking, hey, no, it doesn't say it can't be in here, so so it can be. You can't list everything that can't be in there. And our zoning ordinances say, this is what is allowed in this district.
And that's why you had the exceptions.
And you have exceptions, that you will grant, you have, but you want to grant very few, variances if possible. So you're trying to make it what works, not where you're gonna grant a lot of variances. And in our small areas that we have, most of my counties don't have a full-time zoning administrator. So the more you restrict them to do, the more they have to do. Some are making it very hard for that person, and they're maybe a fourth of a time person. well, be happy you don't have a lake.
I think I know what you're referring to.
I actually have a lot of gray hair due to lakes. I don't even own property at a lake, but it is a tough thing.
I'm not gonna say nothing.
Well, I just tell it on, so. I'll put that in the paper. But, it is a tough thing, and you can't zone everything that comes up, which is why we grant why we have amendments, why we have variances, why we have special exceptions. Because there's some things you're willing to allow in a special exception, providing they hit certain points. We will allow them, providing you this, and this. That's what a special exception is. You know, to me, zoning is what you're going to allow to be there, not what you're not gonna allow to be there.
What's our plan moving forward? Like, do you have a checklist or something that we can follow so we can be like, all right, we're between step 2 and step 3?
So we're at step 1. We'll say, I look at it as a 3-person step. So as soon as the comp plan is done, which we should have to you by December. Then after you pass it, the next step is to start developing that zoning or redoing your zoning ordinance. And yours is so old, I imagine you're gonna amend the whole thing. I could be wrong, okay? You may look at your zoning, if you look at your current zoning ordinance and say, hey, everything is as it should be, even with this comp plan, which since it's what, 97, I think it was, 95, 96. I'll be amazed. That means you haven't changed any since 30 years, you know. And then they will develop that zoning ordinance. And they will decide how their zoning should go based on the comp plan. Because remember, your zoning ordinance has to follow your comp plan. And then you pass a zoning ordinance and that's where you're gonna be. Now, it does not gonna help you with anything you've put up to this point because you granted them the old zoning ordinance. You know,
Moving forward.
yes, it's moving forward. And some people say, well, gosh, I don't think. We've had places that will be in non-conforming when you do this. It is the way it is. If you change something and something's there that doesn't fit, it's a non-conforming use. It's allowed, but it's a non-conforming use. Because, I mean, as you move forward in life, things will change. And you can't tell somebody that's been there, hit the road, Jack, you know, you have to move out. That's not how it works. It's just it's still there. It's just as a non-conforming use. And if something in that use would change, now it's gonna have to follow the new rules.
Not like grandfathered in.
People call it grandfather, yeah. So it is what it is.
So
So basically,
what?
once you get this part done, you're gonna do your zoning ordinance, that's it. Well, your zoning map, so I count that as step 3. It's still part of your zoning map, it's still part of your zoning ordinance. But, when we start like, depends on the commission or the committee you're working with. Sometimes we'll look at and say, what would you really like to see? Here's the map it is now. What would you really like to see your zoning to be? And then we go through the whole zoning ordinance. And especially if they don't quite want it to go where your future land use map is, maybe they do, then that's what you want to see. So we'll put up there, here's what you have for a future land use map that you said, here's where you're at now. How do you see it moving? But then we'll go through each section that we currently have. This is what you have now. Here's some ideas we will put in there that you might want to add to your uses. Where are your problems? We try to bring the Board of Adjustments in so we can say, how many variances, what variances have you been providing? So we can maybe address them in this new zoning ordinance. So that you're not always doing the same ones. Those are for those odd ones you're supposed to be. So you bring all that in, you develop your new your zoning ordinance, and then we start going back to that map that you thought you wanted. Does this all fit? And does it fit with what you did with your comp plan? And then you adopt it. I mean, it's simplified because you'll find some places aren't. with Calhoun County, we went a year trying to do this. Because, but then I told you they have the lake. But, by the time we got done, it's like, we finally had to say, okay, you guys have to make a choice. This is the way it is. I mean, you live here, this is where you guys wanna go, and this is also why when we do that zoning ordinance, we always encourage a supervisor to be on there, because when we get it to you, we don't want you guys to suddenly say, no, I don't like any of this.
Yeah.
That means we have
That does make
almost
sense.
3 months left. Can we get monthly updates as to if we're progressing? We're not,
We're stagnant.
we need to do something quicker, I mean, cause I don't wanna get to December and we still have
Right.
step 2 or 3.
No, we,
Or whatever.
since it's to the point where it's at with the meetings, we should be able to, and I volunteered to step in, cause I kind of stepped out. But with staff shortages, this is step in to review those sections, because where it's at, we just need to review those sections that are there that have been done based on the meetings now, whoever I'm supposed to contact, because I don't know who was at a meeting.
Randy.
Have you been there? So up till now, till then, I might contact you and say, hey, I'm looking at this based on notes and everything. Is this what you thought? Because, I wasn't there. I could, now some of it will be clearly spelled out, but some of it's like, I need to pick somebody's brain. And whose brain do you pick?
I've been a couple of the meetings, but I didn't make them all, so.
Ben was at them all.
Well, see, I see where he's going now.
Keep getting thrown under that
After the
bus.
buck, yeah.
It's just questions, Ben.
7.
What? No. Those are not the answers you're gonna get me. See, you thought I was gone, but I'm back. So. I am. Thanks, Ben. I miss working with you. I know. I know. So that's where we're at.
Okay, I appreciate you coming
Yeah,
in.
thank you.
Yes.
Yeah.
At least we have a timeline kind of looking at us, and
Right.
that guy over there in the corner is very curious about that.
So when do we want to have a supervisor on the board or attending this stuff right away, or?
Well, so for the comp plan that we're done, it's just kind of grabbing off. When we start, or whoever you work with for a zoning ordinance, you want them on board to start.
Okay.
So my guess would be whoever you're gonna do it with will start in the next new year. Because you're gonna adopt this in December.
Yeah, so that
And so-
would make sense. We're not gonna work on zoning until after we get comprehensive.
Right.
That
Right.
makes no sense.
So whoever's gonna be the lucky duck that gets to do it, would want to be at the very beginning.
Should be one of you three.
Thanks, Dave.
You're welcome. You know what's been going on.
That's right.
Pretend like I'm Ben.
Purple.
You're supposed to set an example for
I
them.
am.
Okay, don't take his example. No offense. But I really encourage you, and if you have any naysayers to zoning, I would actually encourage them to sit on the board, or on that development.
So they understand it better.
And so we address what they're saying and maybe understand why or why not we can do something.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
We appreciate your time and
Yeah.
coming in and explaining some of this.
Oh, for the,
Because 2 people just came on.
oh, yes.
Oh.
that
Midas
issue,
board
yeah.
members.
Glad you brought it up. So, on the Midas board, Midas is actually developed by every county. Midas is a 2080 that all counties got together, so you're our bosses. Our board is made up of 3 representatives from each county. One representative represents the county, one represents the cities within that county, and one represents the economic development interests of the county. it can be whoever you want to appoint. It could be Joe Blow off the street, if you feel like he's gonna be a good she, representative. Most of our board, the county is the county supervisor. The city person is someone from a mayor, council person, city clerk, or administrator from one of the cities within that county. That's willing to do it. And then on all the rest, all the rest are economic development has been the county economic development person. But since Alyssa has asked to step off, I don't know if you have somebody else that's, has economic development interests.
She was gonna do a little checking for us.
Yeah, she's looking into it.
Now, way back, some counties, every position was held by a county supervisor. Now, keep in mind, you do that, especially in your county, it's now a majority. If they all come to a meeting, which we need as many to come to the meeting as we can. So if one of you had economic development interest or serves on the economic development board, that could happen too. So.
I've been on it for the last 8 years, so.
And he's enjoyed every minute of it.
It's interesting.
So,
Are you coming to our party?
Not sure yet.
No.
oh, please do. I mean, it's our way of saying thank you to all of our members, so.
Minus is 50 years old this year.
Yes, so we're,
I think everybody got an invitation.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've seen that in the computer.
And I feel it.
You've only been there 2/3 of it.
I know, 32 years, so.
the one other thing, I don't know if I should bring it up, I'm going to, the annual dues. So we haven't received them yet from Humboldt County, and in Humboldt County's case, you guys also pay the dues for all your cities. So technically, right now, they're not members because of the lapse of the dues, and so I didn't know if anything we said today clears up anything, or kind of the handling of that, because, you know, we're working with Livermore on updating their code, working with Bode, they just adopted their updated code of ordinances, working with a couple of other cities, and so technically, right now, we would have to charge them full price if someone came to us for any new projects or new contracts.
Okay, yes. It was helpful for you to come today.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we got an idea or a date. Hopefully we'll have this in our hand.
Well, Bennett asked us, and we're like, we're more than willing to come, so.
Even if it is 8:30 on a Monday.
I just wanted clarification and for everybody to get on the same page.
Yes. Since, yeah, the main person I've been working with is no longer here, I thought that was a good idea too.
Yeah.
Are you hiring a new zoning administrator?
I think we're going to, yes, come up with somebody. Not getting any volunteers.
Well, yeah,
I
I
think-
think not an easy thing to do.
I think Pocahontas Counties also wants to vacate the position, so maybe you guys could work together and share one.
That's a thought.
So,
Good
cause I know,
information.
yeah. So I'm talking, cause
It's
we're
hard-
also working
it's
on. their
hard to
comp plan.
justify a full-time position for that.
Right. So you either have to share one or have them do several items,
Mhm.
so.
Yeah.
There's thoughts of that, there's other things we could probably maybe. It would have a little bit of.
Okay,
Cause they're in a similar position as you were working on their comp plan. They're quite a ways behind, but comp plan, and then they're wanting to update their zoning then too, so.
Thank you,
thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate you coming up.
Yes.
even though it was 8:30
On a Monday.
on a Monday.
Some of us don't have that problem.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Kyle, you're up.
Kyle, we've been waiting.
Yeah, what are you doing?
It's slacking. Now it's basically, however you wanna open this up for a public hearing on the hazardous mitigation plan. And if anyone has any questions, I
It's a big document, so it can't be emailed, so that's why I sent out an invitation for you folks to come down if you want to take a look at it. The public's also had a chance to, it's been up twice now for the public to offer any kind of, verbiage or any kind of changes, any questions, anything like that, and have not seen anything. So we're at your point now where we're having this public hearing. If there's any comments from the public?
Well, I got a question.
Sure.
Is the public hearing held through your board? Or is it held through?
It is actually, I believe it'd be through your folks' board.
Okay, so we have to set a date for that public hearing,
Right,
publish the date.
And that was done.
He did do that, so that,
Okay.
today is the public hearing.
Yeah.
right.
Okay. All right.
So then we make a motion to open the public hearing.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye,
Both carried. Okay, it's open to the public, comments on the
9:16.
mitigation plan.
And you have had no written complaint,
No.
adjustments or suggestions or nothing?
What his holdup is on that, a couple, three of the cities, entities and the county didn't adopt a plan, and he's been waiting for them to adopt it. I think Odison was the last one now, and, so now all the cities and the county have
Yeah.
adopted a mitigation plan. Now it's up to the county to adopt it.
And we could go page by page of this 383 page
That's
document if you would like. We'll be done by midnight tomorrow. It's a great document. It's put together very well. Your new format, I like. That's really good. So I'm very pleased with the plan. It covers everything we needed to.
Great. Well, hearing no comments from the public, I'll move that we close the public hearing.
I'll second.
Anybody on, Al,
Zoom.
Zoom? Anybody got any comments on it there? If not, got a motion, second? All in favor?
Aye.
Closed, carried, public hearing closed.
9:18.
Okay, action on the adoption of the plan.
Well, it sounds like it's put together well. I'll make a motion to adopt the hazard mitigation plan.
I will second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Can I,
it has to be
adopted by resolution.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
Can you have resolution? Can you resolved?
Thank you.
here, good job. There you
What's the
go.
resolution number then?
Just put today's date, 2024. We did that.
I think it's 10,
23.
9 or 10.
9/20, so it's gonna be 9/23/2024 -2024, or what, or the other way?
2024-09-23.
Oh, 9/23, that's what I wanted to know, okay.
Sorry.
Motion and a second, roll call vote. Rick,
Aye.
Bruce,
aye.
Sandy,
Aye.
I'm also aye. Motion passes.
Okay.
How come I got 2 lines for chairman? I can't write that small.
Where's Ben's print?
Yeah.
We didn't put the word on as a resolution.
No, actually. Now,
There.
well,
Wondering if it was.
I got.
Not yet.
Let's say adoption, you know, do we need to make the wording in our minutes to, does that bother you down the road?
That wasn't put on the agenda as a resolution.
But do we just need to make a change to the minutes, so that's correct.
Okay. Or
Make a decision.
Yeah,
we could also table until next week and have it listed correctly on the agenda wise?
Yeah, let's just do that, put it on the agenda for next week to correct the minutes.
For official.
That work with you, Kyle?
Sure. Oh, well, I
just-
won't be here, so I'll.
Yeah.
Well, that's fine. We just
Just
have
as
to
a
have it in there
formality,
so that
just
it
so
can
it's-
go in.
Just so back 30 years from now, when somebody has a complaint, they can,
Perfect,
cause
You gotta do it
that
straight
does
up.
happen.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
Cause you don't have to redo the public hearing, that part is
No.
fine.
Right.
Just the,
Okay, I'll get
Let's
you
just
one of these.
table that and put it on the agenda for next week then.
okay,
So
That
it's
action
written up
will be-
correctly and we don't have this
Resolution
doing
on
this
there.
30 years from now.
Correct.
Even though we'll all be dead by then.
Yeah. But they.
somebody else
appreciate
could
it.
look for the papers.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Kyle, for your
Yeah.
Thank
effort.
you.
Yep.
Yeah, we
welcome.
appreciate your work.
Very well.
See it.
Okay, we need to I'll make a motion to table the adoption of the mitigation plan.
I'll say.
All in favor?
Yeah.
Aye.
Oh, carried. Okay. I guess we need to go into drainage on the next one, or?
Yeah, I don't think it'll take very long. It's just a change
Take a
order.
minute.
I'll make a motion to go into drainage.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All carried. Okay. This is a change order. Increase resulting from the change order is 1,148.51. That was from, for blacktop service for,
Looks like it
I
was an
don't think
increase of
Colin's on
1,000.
there, is it?
Yeah, increase of
Yeah.
$1,148.
So it's just an increase,
Increase in blacktop.
right?
And I think that was due to the issue they had on Main Street with the sewer lines.
Right,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Part of that and over here where they joined on First Avenue.
Okay,
okay, well, I'll make that motion to accept the change order from Blacktop Service for $1,148.51, an increase.
Their old price was 22,434.56.
Correct.
New price would be $23,583.07.
Correct.
I'll second that motion.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, carried.
I'll make a motion to do drainage if there's nothing else.
Go on to drainage, so I have a second.
I'll say.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carried.
Ooh, didn't take a minute.
That didn't turn well. All right. Got 5 minutes for Todd. Is he out there?
Yeah. Yep. We're in here, Todd.
We're ready.
5 minutes early, I don't think that hurts, does it?
Just super amazing.
Hey, I guess I don't wanna be redundant, but where do you want me to start with the reason?
Well, we have the
Dam
minutes from the
saga?
conservation meeting.
We read that.
So obviously, the conservation board, made a decision to move forward in pursuit of option 2 or option 3, 2 being to reduce the crest elevation of the dams, and they included Rutland in their motion as well, to be clear. Or explore the cost on total removal. Basically, looking at trying to do what would be the most cost effective for the county, most bang for your buck. I guess that motion. And again, I'm here kind of as a liaison. I can't speak for any of them, but I got the feeling that they were frustrated with the lack of progress regarding the purchase agreement that we had presented the River Development Group. There was a September 1st deadline for them to, I don't know, there was like 4 stipulations in there. And I know, and they had contacted me, reached out to me, let me know they're having, difficulty, maybe it being more challenging than they thought to get liability insurance coverage. The board extended that September 1st deadline to September 18th. And then at our meeting, they just hadn't made a lot of progress. I know they had contacted another company recently, I think within the last 7 to 10 days, I think, Gary said. But that in order to get that liability coverage, they were going to need 2 acres of property adjacent to the dam, which kind of threw a monkey wrench or a little bit of a curveball at the board. And I guess Conservation Board kind of decided we just don't see this working and decided to move on. So I guess with that said, you have questions for me? Comments?
So where do we stand right now?
I am still in the process of getting documentation together to send out like a request for proposal to engineering firms. I guess I'm not sure, maybe, I guess I'm gonna say it. City of Rutland has reached out and expressed interest in purchasing the Rutland Dam. I believe we will at least discuss that at our next meeting. I've had conversations with a couple of my board members and that has been well received. So I guess, again, I can't say anything officially here. Just trying to kind of keep you in the loop, trying to tell you what I know. But my gut feeling is that there may be some traction there with Rutland buying the Rutland Dam.
I have a question. The land on the west side of the Rutland Dam up there, who owns that?
Gary Pearson, just on the other side of the.
On the north side of the river.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, upstream.
Yeah, just so like I say, the property on the west end of the dam. To me, that's west. I don't know which direction. I get it mixed up. Is it south?
Yeah.
Okay.
On the other side.
So you're talking towards the gravel road on the south?
Yeah,
What I would
well,
consider south,
the
but
powerhouse is on one end, the opposite end of the powerhouse. Who owns that property?
Humboldt County.
Humboldt County does. Okay. That's what kind of I thought.
But I didn't know this until the flooding and all that, but Humboldt County actually owns 2.4 acres on what I would call the north side of the
Where the
dam.
powerhouse is?
Yes, or where the campground is, where the new shelter is.
Oh, okay. I guess I kind of thought that was city property.
And again, I wasn't sure who owned what, and after looking at like Onyx maps, the county owns more there than I thought.
Okay.
We did. A part of the transaction would include transferring ownership of that 2.4 acre parcel to the city of Rutland. I mean, honestly, it makes a ton of sense because they kind of use that as part of their park campground area for pretty much ever, I guess, anyway. So again, just my opinion, but that makes sense to include that as part of that transaction, if and when that happens.
Okay.
Well, Dale Jensen and I are neighbors, and he invited me, and Leanne went over with me also on Saturday. And he was talking about the insurance and things like that. And what I told him is, and I'm just gonna tell him as would have been anybody, I would have told anybody looking into that. They didn't have anything in writing, I'm assuming, to give to the board. So it's hard for the board to make a decision when there's nothing firm. And so I recommended to Dale, sorry, I'm looking at Gary, I shouldn't look at to Dale, is that whoever they were talking to last for insurance, then they need to go to them and just say, hey, is this a possibility? I need to have something in writing to give to the board to make it look like we truly are making I think that's how I worded it anyway, to make it as a commitment. And, you know, and then we had, you know, then if there's land, you gotta decide who owns that lane. What is the legal way? Do we have to put it up for open auction or for sealed bids? You know what I mean? If that is something that the county wants to do.
Mhm.
So you know, so that's kind of what I gave him as a recommendation for the next steps. There's nothing I can say as one board member. None of us as one board member can do that. Or we have no say over really what the management of the dam is, because that's in the board, conservation board's decision. I just told Dale, I just wanted full disclosure. That's what I told Dale and that's what I recommended to him.
Okay.
Okay.
No.
Well, Mike, I have one question that, I mean, it's just kind of curious. I mean, over a year ago when you were down there, Sandy, and I'm not, hopefully not starting a.
You're starting to warn
No,
me
I'm
now,
not
Bruce.
starting, I'm just gonna use your comment was, you told that group to go talk to their group and try to work this thing out, right?
Yeah.
And I'm curious, have we exhausted that? Because that group tells me that every time they come to your guys' group, I'm putting you in the conservation board.
Okay.
They got 3 minutes to talk. How the hell can you have a conversation, a discussion, and you get 3 minutes to discuss something and then you're sit down?
That's a good question, Bruce. The Conservation Board has implemented a policy where, like, during the public comment portion of the meeting, it's actually 2. We don't really enforce it very strictly, but it's a kind of a limited, have your say, sit down and we go about our meeting.
Right.
If you're on the agenda, we do not have a time limit.
Okay,
Does that make
so,
sense?
yeah, it makes sense, but I guess my question is they're trying to take something off our hands.
Yep.
All of our hands that basically we haven't done a very good job doing, taking care of, whether it's conservation board or whether it's this board. So when we say, yeah, you can talk for 3 minutes. I mean, I don't know if the best speech writer in America could put all of the key points in that. And I'm not blaming Gary because I see Gary's name was on here. I haven't been to your guys' meetings forever.
Yep, and Gary was on the agenda. I don't know, it was a pretty lengthy, it was much longer than 3 minutes.
Sure.
I guess I don't have the exact time.
But I guess my question is over, I think it was last September that was, you guys go talk to them, then come back to us and and I guess I'd like to know, have we done it? Have we talked for 10 hours, 50 hours? An hour? I mean, what would be the guesstimate?
They came to our June board meeting, I believe. You put me on the spot, so I'm doing the best I
It
can.
isn't like this isn't gonna change the day.
I believe I emailed whatever this is called, asset purchase agreement to Brett on June 17th, maybe. A couple days before the meeting, gave him a chance to review that. They came to our meeting, formally presented that to them. And then we didn't hear a lot from them for quite a while. And I guess if you want to point the finger at me and say you should have continuously reached out.
Finger at anybody, Todd. I'm trying to figure out how the hell we get out of this
maybe.
mess.
You've
But
done a
then
good job, Todd.
Towards the end, I know I talked to Gary several times,
Right.
trying. And I don't know, Gary, where are you at? I think I tried to, I quote, said, let's make this work. How can we make this work? What do I need to do to make this work? Am I pretty close to a quote, right?
Yes, absolutely.
So whether it's at the meeting or off the record,
Right,
there
then we
has been,
didn't anticipate a flood where up in Minnesota, when that dam, the water went around or breached or whatever the term is. Then all of a sudden, everybody says, well, we aren't gonna pay, we aren't giving insurance,
And I
so.
sympathize, because the insurance world has changed
Yeah.
dramatically on basically every level, from your car to your home to.
And they've been, and I'm just going by hearing, they've been beating the bushes trying to figure out who would insure, how they could insure it, how they could do it, and this last deal was, well, you're trying to insure a rock in the middle of a stream, so you have to have some type of physical ability to make it so we know where it's at, so we can explain to our company, however it is. And
Address is what they.
Yeah.
They have, is it, you have to have a physical address.
now, if we start getting mail there, I'd be nervous, but I'm just saying, it's one of those deals that I don't think anybody is yanking anybody's chain, but it's like, you couldn't write this book and make it any longer and make people want to continue to read it. And that's kind of the way I am. It's like a tooth that,
Can I ask a question?
Mhm.
The 2 acre number, is that coming from our current zoning plan where you have to have 2 acres? Subdivided parcel, or where'd that 2 acres come from?
The insurance man suggested them.
They suggested it, it's not necessarily a mandated, they just suggested it.
The suggestion in order to get value and a physical address for this statement.
Maybe you could reduce that number and make it more pliable.
you start out with two and end up with one. Make,
Whatever we get for land, we grant an easement for whatever you want to do on the land anyhow.
Because I guess I'll throw this also throws a little bit of a monkey wrench in things. The land on the west side of the dam, Eagle Ridge part, is jointly owned by the city, Humboldt County Housing Development, Humboldt County. Obviously, you're well aware, there's a trail project, bridge project. If you were gonna look at doing the land transaction thing, and I don't know which of you said you really want to research that as far as how
I said
you,
that, you've got to.
how you did
Legally
that,
do that, yeah.
because there was some concern with if you put it up for public bid, sealed bid, auction. What happens if someone
Overbids.
buys it
Right.
and they will not grant you that easement for that trail?
Then we're a.
How do we circumvent that? And I do think that's a legit
I
question.
think you have to
Well,
look to see. if-
there's ways about that,
When
cause
you
when you
sell-
purchase farmland, you can purchase farmland with a recorded easement.
Okay,
It's in the deed.
okay.
It'd have to be done that way.
Yeah,
That's why I was
I mean,
thinking.
there's,
it has to be
I think there's
sold.
ways around that.
But I'm just saying that was
Yeah.
one of the
Right, that is,
concerns
yeah.
or questions that the conservation board had that
Right.
we weren't sure of.
Our easements carry over when you sell a farm to another person, it lists at the bottom.
Mhm.
Excluding
Yeah, you just have to get
It's a
an easement
perpetual easement
recorded
is what it is.
into the
Mhm.
legal description of the property.
Okay.
That's being sold.
So do you have an easement for the trail now? Or?
I honestly
owned by
can't
the
answer
county?
that.
We own the property,
own
so we
property.
don't need an
Oh, that's
easement.
right, yeah.
Next question is, does the trail come within how close to the?
Trail parallels the river bank. Varying distances, they tried to pick a route that would limit the number of trees they had to remove. There's kind of a rough four-wheeler trail there already that they kind of tried to follow. There by the dam. And again, off the cuff, I'd say 25, 30 yards basically from the west end of that dam-ish. So,
Thoughts?
long story short, you would need, if you kept that route, you would need some sort of an easement if you did transfer ownership of a parcel on the west side. On the east side, the city owns that, like the mill race and all that stuff, and I don't know if, maybe the city would be open to, I guess I don't
Cole's on
know.
there. Cole's on there if you wanna ask him questions.
That's almost 5 acres.
I'm
The
here.
city-
Can you guys hear me?
Yes,
Yeah.
we can, Cole. Go ahead, Cole.
Oh,
No,
well, like I say, this is just for information. We've had some good discussion and maybe next week we can talk some more.
Yeah, we will work towards getting that in writing that the insurance agency would probably give us insurance if we could get an acre or two, and we can present that hopefully next week. Possible.
You know, the dam's been there for over 100 years, and, you know, we had 100 days to try to figure out how to get all our, everything on that. And I just think, you know, there really should be a time limit. If we can come up with the answers and we can get everything handled, doesn't matter if it's in 100.
Well, I'm just gonna say this, I'm not picking on any one group, we've been working on this. I know, I've been on the board since 2019, so it really hasn't been just 100, let's call, call it like it really is, we've been working on this since 2019.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
The dam's 100 years old
Yeah.
and ain't going anywhere.
No, I realize that, but I mean, don't make it sound like we're not
I think
trying.
what she was saying was they gave their proposal and they've been working on it for trying to get all the things, hoops that they put on their proposal, trying to get those checked off and say, we can do this, we can do that. Well, we can't. And after the flood, you can talk to Scott, our insurance guy. I mean, he said ISAC will not do it. It transfers out of our name, done.
Well, it's not a county entity anymore then, yeah,
So
and that makes sense.
Is the county both interested in acquiring it, like the town of Rutland? Or I'm sorry, the city of Humboldt.
that's a question that I love to.
That's kind of why I threw it up there. I know his
Listening.
name is right behind you.
Yeah. You can't really, I mean, it's kind of like the same thing with us, you gotta go to the board.
Well, like Rick said, it's informational.
Yep. No decisions are gonna be made today,
And I don't,
but it's out there.
all
I
right,
mean, we're gonna get something done with this dam,
Yes. One way or
and
the other.
hopefully we're gonna get the right thing done.
Yep.
So we wanna take our time and get it right.
Agree.
I agree.
Thank
Okay.
you. Thanks, Tom.
Thank you.
Hey, while we got you here, I see you talked about Lock Creek up there, Livermore. That triangle in town where you was gonna make a.
Yep.
You get permission to get some trees off of that?
I don't know if we've got,
On that.
the board talked through that, Dave, a little bit and. Yes, if the city of Livermore's gonna end up being mad at me, I guess they can be mad, but I did talk to their maintenance staff. They were not crazy about putting it there and having it basically connected to their sewer system.
Right.
They were very concerned with people dumping
Other
this, that,
things.
and the other thing down the hole
Right.
and ruining their lagoon.
Yep.
I don't think that will happen. We don't have that happen in our parks. But with that said, if it ever did,
To be honest.
they're coming at me.
Yeah.
I don't want that. I don't need that. So we talked through it at the board meeting.
I don't
The
think
board-
we need a dump station there, but we did have a request for getting some of the dead trees off that property, and I just wondered if they talked to you on it. But we referred them back to the
Okay, I thought
company.
you were referring to the dump station. No, no one's talking about trees.
Okay.
Well,
Trees and junk.
yeah, I really don't wanna spend $4,000 removing trees and then
No.
sell it for $1,500.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know,
put it back in the tax bill.
yeah,
It wouldn't.
Yeah.
So I misunderstood.
Yeah.
Sorry. But no,
I know they cleaned it up, so.
Yeah.
All right,
all right.
thank you.
Yep.
thanks.
Thanks, Todd.
Okay, anything else? And move on down to committee report.
I had no meetings this.
Well, I missed,
Thank you.
my meeting on,
Thank you, Gary.
Tuesday, Udmo Finance meeting, I got a phone call on Monday afternoon and said, aren't you gonna join? I joined what? Well, our finance meeting was moved to today, so I had
Oh.
to join the meeting early, a day early, but, we got all that taken care of. And I looked back in the minutes and they did move it to the Monday, so that was, then, and yesterday, that meeting, impromptu meeting on Main Street, I went up and stood in the corner. Tried to, I don't know, oh, you're 6'7" and try to hide. I wasn't really trying to hide, I was just trying to stay out of
Right?
eye shot. But they had, what would you say, 100 people? I mean, guesstimate, there was there's a lot of interest, I mean, and the comments were, pretty soon, we're gonna have to put up or shut up, was a couple of times the phrase. And if they really do want to, take this thing over and try to fundraise what they're going to do, then there were some people there but nobody had their checkbook out that I saw that was, but at least there is more than the 12 people that seem to come in here all the time, so there was a fairly large group, so those are the two things I went to.
Okay, well, the 17th, I had a Humboldt County Opioid Alcohol Coalition meeting. And I was supposed to go to the food pantry, but my mom fell again, so we had to go to the ER again. So I didn't make it to the food pantry board. And then on the 18th, I had ministerial and also kitty cat. And we do have, somebody hired for, the director.
Local or?
Yes, Hannah, she was the one before Kirsten. Trying to find my notes, I can't even remember Hannah's last name now. Hate that when your mind goes crazy.
Getting older.
Boy, you are really.
I'm just, that's with me, that's me, I walk in, I'm trying to remember what I was doing.
I know it. Shoot, I wish Kyle would have stayed here another longer, because I was gonna bring this up on the ministerial, but anyway, Hannah. She's gonna come back, it'll be mid-October, she'll be back. I'm working as she was the director before. And then at the ministerial board, we are putting together we don't really know a good name for it, person in transit immediate needs plan. So what do we do with these people that are coming through Humboldt, but they ran out of gas and they've got kids and, or they need a place to stay overnight or something like that, and they're deadbeat broke, but they're trying to get.
It happens often.
And it happens more than what you think it does. So we have put together a plan, because I guess something happened last Thursday no, when was it would have been before, it would have been either the 12th or the 13th. Yeah, somebody came through and somebody called Zion, somebody called OSL. And both places said, yeah, we've got gas cards, come to our church. So then the one, I don't know if it was a deputy or police or whatever, but anyways, everybody was running all over the place. So we have come up with a plan that things are gonna be kept at the LEC. So that when this happens.
It's easier taken care of.
Yes, yes, and people are not running all over which I thought was and Kyle has done a great job. Kyle put this together, so I was gonna give Kyle the kudos video.
He said,
That's again what I think about, the guy come through. Hit me up the VFW, said he was a veteran, he was trying to get to Oklahoma, I think it was.
Is that, okay?
But he was coming from Boston. And he had car trouble and he went on and on and on, no proof of anything. Had a video of his son laying in a hospital, what he claimed. And I told him, I said, what we do is send them down to the LEC. They'll call the Ministerial Association and let them see if they can help them.
Yeah.
But I did ask him, he says, well, I have an old car, when it wasn't that old a one. And he said, his GPS, he wanted nothing to do with interstates. And I said, why are you clear over here on that then, when you could have hit 69 and took it clear to Oklahoma City?
Yeah.
Or down into Oklahoma,
Mhm.
so.
Yeah, and I don't know if that was the
Just
same
the way it's
person or
set,
not, I have
so.
no idea, but anyway, that's where we're doing, and then the other thing is.
So will that be a contribution by the church? The
Well-
churches will put money into that, just so I know where I'm
And-
going next tonight for my elders meeting, when we get hit up for.
So there is money there is money in the account, so we don't
Alright.
have to worry about anything right now. And that is what the plan is for in the future, that when that, say,
Donation type.
it starts going down to a certain level, then we'll go to the churches and say, hey, we need, is there a love offering or something like that that we could do to kind of build this fund
Yep,
back
perfect.
up? Yeah. So that at budget time, we need to think about, cause right now, I guess we give 5K to ministerial and 5K to Udmo right now. Is that what we do? That's what I was gonna try to find out.
Ministerial.
Oh, 10 total, but so then does ministerial, then does ministerial, then give it
donated
to
To the
Udmo then?
Udmo, I think.
Udmo has their own thing.
Cause ministerial thought it was, Alyssa thought it was 5K. I said, I'm new enough on the board. I didn't know what we did.
I'm pretty sure it is.
Okay, so I just wanted to look into that and then, the other thing we're working on too is how do we organize as a community after a disaster? Not just necessarily flooding, it could be tornado, it could be,
Grasshoppers.
yeah, who knows? You know what I mean? And how do we help the community? We want to help people coming through, if they come through and it's, they got fans, cause that's been a couple of times where they got kids,
Oh, yeah, I seen a family down there one time
and that was, I think that was
Tears
one of the
your
other
heart
things, yeah, it does, I mean, you don't wanna see that either, so we're just trying to work on. And we've actually got a couple of the new pastors to come,
Wow,
so we're hoping that that's gonna, yeah.
have a
Yeah,
ripple effect.
yeah, so we're really hoping that with that, yeah. So I don't have anything else, that's all I had,
Well, you got,
that's all I got, but anyway, I just wanted to let you guys know what we've been talking about.
okay, on the 18th, we had a Humboldt County housing meeting downtown. And, a lot was discussed about a home and some other properties. That's the only official one I had. I was gonna go down to that meeting last night, but I didn't get down there. My feet was hurting, my knee was hurting. I said, I've been on it all weekend and I'm done. I sat in my chair and that's where I woke up. That's all I have. Anybody got anything else to come for the board?
After the comment we heard where Pocahontas is looking for a zoning director, maybe we should have some conversations with them.
Are they?
Are they?
I don't know.
Well, that's what
Might want to check
Stacy
into it.
said, yeah.
I did get a call from one of the zoning board guys. Luke Erpelding wants off the board. I told him to write out his resignation.
On which board is that?
He's on zoning. He said he's been on there about 30 years.
I was gonna
He's time to
say,
get
I think
off.
he's been. So we need to have our list again, all boards, we need to
Yeah. we need to-
restock.
Yeah.
And I guess the other thing I would say is we need some younger people, and I'm not bashing any of, the ages, but some of those people like Luke, that's been on there 30-some years, we gotta find people that are willing to go and listen and learn and be part of the process.
Yep. What are we gonna do if Midas' bill? Are we gonna go ahead and pay it now, or? We've been holding it since they hadn't got anything
And,
done.
yeah, and her point about it actually is the cities that we're holding up, probably ain't right.
Right.
So probably should put that on.
Well, I
that
guess
Next claim.
I don't have a problem paying them. By the same token, if in December, they haven't come due or with their plan like they said that we'd have, then I guess we have the ability to hold off in the following year.
Or should we make a partial payment?
Oh, I'm
Just a thought. I didn't.
I don't wanna hold up any
Yeah.
county,
But I
other
don't,
part of
wanna- I
the
don't wanna
county.
put the cities in jeopardy of.
Yeah,
No,
me
I
neither.
would go ahead and pay them
It
this
isn't,
year.
it's only what, 6,000 or 5,000? Something like that.
Yeah,
I'd pay them this year
And
and
it is
hold off
budgeted.
next year if they don't
Yeah.
come through.
And it was,
Okay.
yeah, we'll do that.
as far as the zoning person, I think, I know I keep saying this, but maybe we don't need a full-time drainage clerk. And maybe we can find somebody
To wear multiple hats.
do multiple hats, have part-time drainage and clerk. I hate that term, but I know that's what the state, and so that they all.
The thing is, visiting with Trish,
I know.
we could have someone who will, when we get a call for a work order, he could go out and look at it,
Right, that's what I was thinking.
document everything, fill out the work order,
Mhm.
For
Make sure-
drainage.
make for drainage, make sure it's done. Turn the work order into them and they can file it. Basically, your office would just basically do the filing of it.
The paperwork part of it.
Yeah. And then someone could be doing all
Do
the
zoning.
legwork. It'd make
Yeah.
those two jobs kind of intertwine a little bit.
That's what I was thinking. I mean, I think it'd be a better use of our resources,
Sources.
because we don't need somebody full-time in
No.
drainage clerk.
No, it probably's not. We could probably
Probably not.
slap another couple.
If you've got a part-time drainage person or a part-time zoning person, I still think you're looking at a part-time employee.
Yeah. that's
Yeah,
probably-
we are.
And then they could come help with elections. Speaking of which,
So do they, and I'm not trying to be picking on anybody, but if you hired someone like me that is a woodpecker typer that comes in here and tries to do your recording or I think we wanna make sure that the
We need
person
somebody
is
skilled.
qualified
Yeah, but
to do
even
that,
like a zoning person has to have
some skills.
office skills.
Yeah,
exactly, to be able to do the minutes and the
Right.
Yeah,
agendas
they,
and
yeah,
public hearings and
right,
whatnot.
yeah.
but when you go in and start that interviewing process, then all of a sudden we're asking questions like, can you type?
Can
Um,
you run a computer? Can you send emails?
Right.
I'm not,
I think the
I'm
guy.
totally for it if it works.
Right, and I
Whoever you
kind
end
of,
up hiring has to have computer skills.
yes.
Yes.
Plus,
They've gotta be able to do Word, Excel,
Mhm.
Microsoft Access.
Yeah.
Yes.
other programs.
Cause they gotta access all these maps that were digitized.
Right. Well, and plus I think they need to have some kind of, I'm not saying you have to have a college background, but you need to have some kind of knowledge of not engineer, maybe a tech, engineering tech or something like that. You know what I mean? Have some kind of,
Engineering for that, a construction background would.
maybe, okay, maybe that's a better word. Okay. But I mean, somebody that has a knowledge of how zoning works, how drainage works, how, you know what I mean? You don't, you know.
Yeah, they can't be, yeah, they gotta be somewhat knowledgeable.
Yes, that, I guess that's the point I was trying to make. Yeah,
Well, yeah,
but I still think a little bit of engineering would be,
or even the desire to learn these things is.
yes, yes.
Yeah.
And it'd be nice to get somebody, again, youthful. Is that a good word?
We can't,
You cannot.
Say that.
I know, but I mean, it'd be, I know you cannot discriminate.
they gotta physically be able to walk up and down a drainage.
Right, oh, I know, and that's,
Walk to the bottom and walk.
that's what I mean.
Make physical.
Yes, you can, and that's what I'm trying to say, is you gotta, we've gotta have, if we're gonna make a,
Job description.
job description, we gotta put in the physical requirements. You've got, you know, all of that, it's not just
Yeah.
computer skills and stuff like that, you've gotta have somebody physically able to do that.
Not afraid to get dirt under your fingernails
Right.
and might be in there logging stuff in the computer
Mhm.
following day, so.
Yeah.
Well, it'd be nice if they could sit wherever their office is and just email stuff back. Or,
Mhm.
Yeah,
you know, they gotta be able to do that.
yes,
And a place for these documents to reside
Right.
and
yes.
stay and
And
keep.
stay permanently. A filing cabinet or that stuff.
So maybe we need to have a work session on that, trying to come up with what we truly need and what that person would do. And how we can put a job description together.
Yes.
That
Where
sounds
their
good.
office would be.
Yeah, where the office would be.
Whether or not they need a vehicle.
Right, yeah,
Those
Yeah.
type of questions. We should have a vehicle around that they could use on a part-time basis to go out to.
We got 3 people that work in the auditor's office. If she's gonna be in the drainage, they could borrow one of their vehicles.
You got a 1-ton up there for sale.
I do have a 1-ton that's up for sealed bids right now.
How are you on your staff? Did you get fully staffed or we?
My last guy started Tuesday, but I was feeling I'm gonna lose one this week.
Man. Maybe we need to have,
He's getting
Highly
hard.
sought after employees are,
Well, you do a good job of training people.
yeah,
Yeah,
you know, and I mean, if you've got
and that is true.
a self-motivated employee,
Mhm.
that's what.
they have the ability to be promoted, paid higher than what I.
Yeah.
You know,
Well,
And that's sad.
I can't.
but it's good
No,
for
you
them.
can't. No, it's good, no,
I
you
mean,
want the
they
best
want
for them.
people to improve their life, so if they've got an opportunity, good for them.
Yep,
Which shop you losing?
Can't say yet. Hasn't happened.
Okay.
All right,
I've been made.
please, I'm sorry.
well, with that, if there's nothing else,
Oh, I guess we haven't adjourned, have we?
no, we haven't.
I can always.
Oh,
Looking for a motion.
Second,
Do I have a second?
I
Sandy.
second.
Bruce.
Okay, please, second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed,
Uh.
10:03.
Probably